And with the chat box, do we have that enabled or?
Yes, it looks like
Okay,
it is.
chat Q&A. Okay.
Do you want to go back to the main page so they can see those points quick?
These?
Yeah, and then maybe we can
Yeah.
jump in.
Yeah, let's go ahead and jump in. Thanks for everyone who's here. So this Q&A session is kind of a new thing the board is starting. Just if we thought that if there is maybe an opportunity, we got some feedback from other webinars that, if we just maybe had a Q&A, kind of an unscripted opportunity for you all to talk to board staff, get some feedback from us or questions answered about anything you have on the Act. We'd be happy to do that. So we've kind of started these monthly Q&A sessions. This is the first. Again, we anticipate that the board will not give CE credit for these sessions because they're very unscripted. And so right now the board is not planning on giving CE credit. Some reminders, we're not authorized to speak on behalf of board members. These sessions are for general information only. They do not constitute legal advice. And if you have specific questions, try to generalize them in a way that you avoid sharing project-specific, personal, or identifying information. And I neglected to do this. I'm John Wilbeck. I'm the executive director of the board. With me today is Allyson Berglund, our public information officer, and Amy Habe, our compliance officer. So I don't know if you have any specific questions for us. If you do, type those in the chat. I believe everyone is muted. Is that right? The attendees? Yeah, I'm getting some nodding heads. But we set up this slideshow not really knowing where things could go, but giving everyone the opportunity to go to various places. I did want to share a couple things about things that are going to change in the E&A Regulation Act, which will occur on the 17th, which is next Friday. The first thing for licensees should know is that we made a change to the statute that governs how the seal and signature are applied. Prior to, well, as of now, when you place your signature and date on a seal, you have to do that across the seal in a manner that's, keeps everything legible. One of the changes that's going to take place Friday is now you can put your signature and date adjacent to the seal. Again, what we saw on some instances where it was that, in some instances it was tough to see the name of the licensee, kind of the signature kind of obfuscated the seal a bit, if they use the same color ink. So you now can place your signature and date adjacent to the seal, starting next Friday. The other change that is happening is major changes with the PE exam. Currently, folks who want to take the PE exam have to apply to the board to get approved by us before they can register with NCAAS. Next Friday, that goes away. So what will happen essentially is there'll be no more PE exam application for the board. Applicants who have passed the FE exam and meet the education requirements, which are, the typical ABET EAC degree or meeting the NCAAS education standard, those folks can now go right to NCAAS and register for the exam. Because all we were doing with PE exam applicants was checking to see, yes, did they pass the FE exam and did they meet the education requirement? So now that step has gone away. The board is not losing any revenue because there was no application fee associated with that PE exam board application. So we're just cutting out a step of that. And now the first time we see anyone who has something to do with engineering will be if they want their EIT certificate or if they want their PE license. There's no more approval from our board to take the PE exam. So that change will occur next Friday as well. So those are the recent changes to the E&A Act. I'm not sure there's anything else necessarily that is real important that are recent changes, other than one of the things that's relatively new is our guidance documents that the board has started to actually start doing these. State law allows us to issue guidance documents which are intended to clarify policies, kind of codify board interpretations of things, procedures on specific topics. Earlier this year, we published our first that had to do with the practice of registered interior design, which is a relatively new regulated profession in Nebraska. Interior designers are not regulated by our board. They're actually regulated by the state treasurer's office. But their code of practice or their act had a description of what is registered interior design, what is the practice. And so our board noticed some overlaps between those two practices. And so the board decided to publish this guidance document that talks about where the board sees the practice overlaps are, and also some interpretations of what our board thinks a registered interior designer can do related to the practice of architecture. So if you're curious about that, that is out on our website under, I believe it's enforcement and guidance documents. If you work at an architectural firm or you employ or use registered interior designers as a licensed architect or engineer, I would highly recommend you review that guidance document because it has some important interpretations, I guess is the best term, from the board on how those two practices overlap. I will say also, the board has seen this, if there's like a drawing sheet that includes, let's say you're doing some interior plan or elevations or whatever, that has both the practices of architecture and a registered interior designer working on that sheet, I would advise everyone to have both the licensed architect and the registered interior designer place their seal on that sheet, and then also put a note on that sheet identifying the specific work on that sheet shown that each individual is responsible for. We have had questions about that come up in the past. So.
Hey, John, before you go any further, can we confirm that people can hear and or see? I sent a message in the chat, so if you guys can confirm in the chat, that would be helpful, just because this is our first time doing it. We want to make sure everybody can hear and see. Thank you. And if the other thing is since it is a small group, if it's easier to talk through questions once John gets done, maybe just raise your hand in the chat box and we could unmute you to ask the question instead of going through the chat box.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, good. Everyone appears to be able to hear me.
Good. Just wanted to confirm. Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, the guidance documents is a relatively new iteration or tool that the board is starting to use. It's again designed to give kind of consistent guidance on specific questions. So yeah, we've just done our new one. How about those in attendance? Do you have any specific questions for us? Again, this is kind of just a free form, I'll go wherever you guys want me to go. If you have specific questions. So I'll just kind of leave it open for a couple minutes here to see if you all have questions, comments, feedback, anything that you'd like me to cover. See Rod typing a question here. Rod asks about assistance in licensure in other states. Well, I really can't comment on or opine on licensure in other states because I can't speak for them. Like I can't speak for the Kansas board or Iowa or Wyoming or whatever board. I will just put in a plug for NCAAS and NCARB record services. That both of those, if you have an NCAAS record or an NCARB record, that can really help out with seeking licensure in other states because, like our states, we need verification of certain things. Like we need to see that you graduated with that accredited degree. We need to see that you've passed whatever exams you need to pass and you've done the experience. So the records program of both NCARB and NCAAS can assist with that. And I know in some states, if you are either an NCARB certificate holder or an NCAAS model law engineer, there is some expedited pathways for those folks who, like in our state, those folks who apply, who meet those requirements, don't really even have to go to a board meeting. The board has already delegated the licensure to us, to someone who has an NCARB certificate and is active and transmits that to Nebraska for comedy licensure. We can do that, and then the board formally approves that later. So again, I just can't comment on how other states do it, but I will say from what I've seen, if you have a record from NCAAS or NCARB, that greatly speeds up and makes the reciprocal licensure process a lot more efficient. So great question, Rod. Amy, did you have any topic that you wanted to particularly cover on this?
The only thing, I mean, if we want to talk through technical submissions, that continues to be an ongoing topic that the compliance department addresses. If we just want to quickly review what Rule 6.5 points out and requires, that might be good.
Okay. So yeah, these sets of rules are relatively new about what information should be on technical submissions, whether they be drawings, specifications, an engineering report, a geotechnical engineering report, anything. So back in rules, the board said, or the rules say, if the work shown on a technical submission is done through an individual and not through an organization, well, actually, this applies to everyone, if I believe. But this slide is just talking about individuals. So that sheet has to have the project name and the project address, so a layperson can figure out where that is. Address can be, the location. I think we address this a little bit later. The licensee name and contact information should also appear on that technical submission. So for an individual, yeah, this is just kind of a dummy set of sets of drawings and an engineering report. The licensee has the project name and location is here. The licensee's name, their contact information is here, and same way with the engineering report. Now, for an organization, they're done a bit differently. Those technical submissions must include, again, the project name and address. That's common for everyone. But also, the organization's legal name has to be on those technical submissions, that organization's contact information, and the organization's certificate of authorization numbers. So I think this next sheet talks about the same, what that looks like. Again, project name and location on the drawings, the name of the firm, their contact information, and then their CA number is on there. And that also applies to the engineering reports and other non-drawing things.
And then just to confirm really quick, or to clarify on those, project name, location, and contact information, those have to be on every sheet
Right.
of those drawings.
Right, like that shows right there. There are some specific rules about kind of unique situations for technical submissions, like large spec books on big projects. You can licensees, on a multidisciplinary project, instead of like figuring out where a licensee's specification section begins and ends, and then it can get really confusing to coordinate the placement of those seals. The board will allow those licensees to, on a separate sheet of paper, affix their seal, signature, and date, indicate the page numbers, the sections really, or the work that each of them are responsible for. The intent is, can a layperson look at that sheet and figure out what specifications each of those licensees did, and then it's properly sealed. So you put that sheet both at the front and back of the specification book. Another rule, if you're using a standard detail prepared by, let's say, the City of Lincoln, they have a book of standard details and specs. If you use those on a project, you should put the name of the jurisdiction which prepared the standards on your technical submissions. There's been questions about, well, does that need to be resealed again? Let's say the City of Lincoln engineer seals that detail and includes that seal detail in the City of Lincoln's standard specifications. The board's stance on this is, if that detail is not changed in any way, there's no need for this licensee who's using that detail on another project to reseal it again, because you're not changing anything. But if you make any sort of change to that standard detail or spec, you should seal that as the licensed engineer or architect, because now you're making a design change to that detail. And so the board would expect you to seal that change detail or standard. So, okay, I think that was it on that. Okay, any other questions? Rod, I've noted your request for licensure records. I will get those, I'll reach back out to you and see what you need there and help you with that. Anything else? See, we've done such a great job on all our previous quarterly webinars. You guys know, you know all this stuff now. These are just reminders for you. Okay. Anything else? Yeah, if you guys don't have any questions, Allison, Amy, do you have anything additional?
I don't, not at this time. Just a reminder, they're held monthly, and if you happen to come up with any questions, please join us for the next one.
Right, the next one, and our schedule has typically, or we've set it up to be the second Thursday of every month. Yep. So the next one would be what, August 15th? Is that right?
That sounds...
Does that sound right?
Right.
13th.
No,
August 13th. Yep.
August 13th. Okay.
Yep. So just be sure to join us, and every one will probably be pretty different and have a bunch of different questions and discussions. So
okay.
We'll hopefully see you next time.
Okay, very good. We'll wrap this one up and call it a success. And if you have, encourage you to join us if you have questions for the next one in August.
Yep. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Okay. Thank you.